Good afternoon to you, yes. So the DA's candidate here elected unopposed. The first hint of this was when the Democratic Alliance nominated Rachel Matibe as the Speaker. And when the presiding officer said, is there anyone to oppose her, going once, going twice, going thrice, there was no response from the ANC benches. That meant that the DA's candidate both for Speaker and the DA's candidate for Mayor were elected unopposed, all the other office bearers following the same vein. Well, let's find out why. Now, Jacob Khawe is the Gauteng ANC Provincial Secretary. He joins us. Now, Jacob, good afternoon to you. Why did you not put up any candidates in Tshwane?
We initially supported the coalition engagements, but later we realized that the coalition's engagement have lost political dignity, no principle. It's just ganging against the ANC, and we felt that we need not to legitimize that process. We did say from the President and the NEC that we're not going to look for power at all costs. We want proper coalition with interest of serving our people. But as we were observing in the province, we realized that we're competing with a gang, and therefore it is best to maintain our vote, prepare ourselves to work with what councillors which won, and congratulate our councillors for being sworn in today.
Is another way of looking at what you've just said, you didn't want to give the EFF the power, the spectacle of keeping you out of power?
None of them we wanted to give them power and glory. We looked at the dignity of the party and whether what should we do in a moment where you feel that a gangster with no principles is coming for you. So this was the best political way, just to sit down and watch the space. But we are not watching the space for nothing. We know what will happen to this alliance. It happened before, and we think that the right time will come.
You are the provincial secretary in Gauteng.
Yes.
You control none of the three metros.
Yes.
How does that feel?
We did say it's a setback. From the results, we knew it's a setback. But we also had hope on the coalition talks, which we thought they are principled. Everybody is about service delivery. Later we learned that no, it's not a principled. It is an attack on the ANC. And we'll go back to the drawing board. It's a message to the ANC. The voters are talking to us, are saying, get your house into order. There are things you're not happy with, but we will come back.
Isn't it really a sign, a message, that the way we look at things now, you control no metros, you are probably out of power in Gauteng in 2.5 years' time?
We don't think so. We don't think we'll be out of power completely. We still think we may have discussion on coalition, but we know where we did wrong and we know where we did right. And let's put into perspective, some voters in Gauteng did not vote against ANC. They didn't go to vote at all. And those numbers are ANC voters. So if we can craft our message proper, go back to those voters, we'll come back stronger in the national elections.
Did you just concede that you, as the ANC Gauteng Provincial Secretary, believe you won't get above 50%?
For the next...
For Gauteng in 2024?
We are targeting to get 54, and we'll stay to that target.
Isn't the ANC becoming a rural party? Isn't that the lesson of these local elections? People are fed up with poor service delivery, they're fed up with electricity that doesn't work, they're fed up with an economy that doesn't work, they're fed up with no jobs, they're fed up with the corruption. I mean, just on your NEC alone, we're probably going to find findings against 9 or 10 people in the Zondo Commission report. We're going to find, someone like Malusi Gigaba is still a member of your NEC despite having lied to a judge. Zweli Mkhize feels he must resign from cabinet, doesn't feel he must resign from the NEC. Aren't voters responding to that?
Voters are responding to different reasons. The biggest one is service delivery. Once you switch off electricity, 2 days, 3 weeks before voting, you give them no reason why to vote. Once you don't provide water services, once you don't collect waste, it's the first reaction for local government election. The second reaction is when you have a ward councillor who doesn't convene meetings and we only come during elections. That's an immediate reaction for local government elections. But of course, Johannesburg, you do have voters who say, but we're more interested on the national issues. So resolve those issues. Zondo Commission is a process of engagement. It is not a court for decision making. And therefore it will be unfair to judge people on a commission. But once the commission is done, let's see what happens. The last point you raised about ANC being rural, it's so interesting. I've heard one analyst saying that we lost no ward in the townships, unless we're calling townships rural, because there could be a new definition of calling Soweto rural, calling Tembisa rural, calling Katlehong rural, Soshanguve and Mamelodi. So we're not a rural party.
There's going to be a lot that's going to happen in the three big metros, Mogale City as well, actually, going forward in Gauteng. One of the key questions, obviously, and I'm sure you'll have thought through this very carefully, is whether anyone believes the DA will be able to keep power, particularly in Joburg and particularly in Ekurhuleni. Tshwane here is slightly different. What it boils down to is whether the EFF will vote to support them when it comes to pass a budget. There's a little bit of precedent where the Joburg DA voted with the Joburg ANC at the beginning of the pandemic to pass a budget. Could that small precedent, that slight precedent, be quite important in whether the ANC, maybe next year, maybe the year after, votes with the DA? You could come to some agreement, even though the DA stays in power, but because it suits you both, because maybe it's just the right thing to do. Could that happen?
Material conditions will dictate on what we do. For now, I will not speak on behalf of a gang that came together without principles, but just to oust the ANC.
Jacob Khawe, I appreciate the time. Thank you. The Provincial Secretary of the ANC in Gauteng. Mr. Khawe, I do appreciate the time. I'm going to